So really quickly, I want to make sure that I cover rests as well. Rests are exactly the same as our rhythms we just learned. They just look a little different, so we're going to look at them. So we have a whole rest, which takes up 4 counts, just like a whole note. In our whole rest, you can remember which one it is. It goes on the fourth line of the staff, and then it comes down from that fourth line. And you can remember that a whole rest kind of looks like a hole in the ground if that fourth line were the ground and there was someone walking across that fourth line. And then they would fall into the hole, and that's your whole rest. We have a half rest, which takes up 2 counts, just like a half note. Half rest is the one that we tend to get confused with a whole rest. Our half rest kind of looks like a hat. It's sitting on top of the line, and then the line ends up being like the sides of a little top hat or something like that. And we have a quarter rest, which takes up 1 count, just like a quarter note. Quarter rests are a squiggle, and that's it. So you'll notice that the names correspond. Quarter note, quarter rest. Half note, half rest. Whole note, whole rest. So when we insert our rests into a rhythm, all we're saying is that we are not going to be playing on that beat. Before, when we had a half note, we would be playing through an entire 2 beats. So we'd be holding that note for the duration of the 2 beats. We can also instead choose to replace that half note with a quarter note and a quarter rest. That way we're playing for 1 beat and not playing for 1 beat. So rests, what they do is they allow us to put space in our music. Not everything has to be sound. Sometimes there can be silence in there too. So let's take a look at a couple examples of rhythms that incorporate rests. This first one, you'll see we have a quarter note followed by a quarter rest and then 2 more quarter notes. So as we're counting that, it's going to sound like this. 1, 3, 4. Now notice I don't count on beat 2 because there's a quarter rest, but I'm also not holding and pulsing through because we're not going to be holding that first note through the rest. Instead, the sound stops. I am still thinking the number, but you can't hear me think, I hope. Let's take a look at another one real quickly. This one has a half note followed by a half rest. So we're just going to hold this one. 1. And that's it. That's our 4 beats. So really all we're adding when we add rests is that we're adding space. Space that is not taken up by sound. And these rests can go anywhere in the measure as long as the measure still takes up 4 beats. So I can't put a half rest on beat 4, and I can't put a whole rest anywhere except for the beginning of the measure. I went through that pretty briefly because you basically got most of the rhythm stuff from the previous video about whole notes, half notes, and quarter notes. If rests are confusing for you, if I went a little too fast, scroll to the bottom of the page and you can set up a time with me that we can go over it again and make it a little clearer for you. See you soon.